Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today we're going to be doing a coaching session for a Nami support. So special thanks to Sammy for the very generous donation. I really appreciate it. If you would like a coaching session yourself, just email me at thestrategyprofessor@gmail.com. It's just a $20 donation. If you're a PayPal channel member, then it's just $15. It's just $5 to become a channel member. So it's basically a free membership for a month, pretty much, if you want to become a member and then get a coaching session. So I think it's a pretty good deal considering how much time and thought I put into these kinds of videos. If you want to watch more coaching sessions, so maybe you're not quite sure if you want to donate yet, or you're still kind of waiting on your next paycheck or something like that, I provide an entire playlist. I think this will be like number 114 or something like that. And I think that just watching some of the games of others, especially for champions that you're interested in, can still be very helpful. So I've got that coaching guide link for you here. I also have an in-depth Nami guide if you want to know a lot of specifics about her skills and itemization and things like that. You can find it on my champion guide playlist as well as dozens of other champions. So be sure to check that out. Okay, so first up, we're just going to talk really briefly about kind of the pregame here. I have Coach Sammy in another Nami game on the channel, so I'm not going to go over it as much here, but I'll go over it just real quickly. Runes, items, like skill order, things to think about in terms of that for maybe 5 minutes here. Then we'll watch the game. I'll take some physical notes as we're watching the game in my trusty notebook here. Then at the very end, we'll bring it all together and try to give like the best 5 to 10 tips to help Sammy gain some elo. So let's go ahead and get going. Okay, so this is patch 8.12, and your runes are going to be Airy, Mana Flow, Transcendence, Scorch, and then Bone Plating and Chrysalis. There's not that much differentiation you can do with the runes right now. Transcendence is the one that... Let me just pull up the runes here really quickly. That's kind of the open space now that they nerf Celerity. You can still go Celerity. The 5 movement speed is useful. Sort of. It's nowhere near as good as like the 11 or 12 movement speed that you used to get before. They just nerfed it. They cut it in half. So I think that opens up a space for Transcendence later on. It doesn't come online until level 10. But it does give you the 10% extra CDR. And if you go over the CDR cap, then you get a very favorable conversion rate on CDR into AP. So 10 CDR usually is worth about 270 gold. Versus the 20 AP that it converts into is worth about 420 gold. So you're getting a lot of extra value out of that. That means you can stack a bunch of CDR items without worrying about going over the cap. And in fact, later on in the game, if it goes late, then you get a very favorable conversion rate. So you can go something like Ionian Boots early and not have to worry about whether or not you're going to go over the CDR cap, which is really nice because it allows you to get that max CDR early and then still get effective items without feeling like you have to buy something that doesn't have CDR, like Locket, just because you don't want to go over the cap and waste those stats. So that's a useful pick. Absolute Focus, especially if you're against melee lane that's not really going to do a lot of harassment early. So maybe if you're against like a Mordekaiser, Tom Kench or something like that, you can go for Absolute Focus, and that will give you more harass and more healing in lane early on, and you'll get that extra AP. So it's a decent option. I still think that Transcendence is probably the best, but there is definitely still an argument for Celerity. Then I think there's just so much action bot lane constantly that you just have to go Bone Plating and Chrysalis just for maximum survivability early. You could try something like Bone Plating and Revitalize if you think you're going to go triple healing item. But that would be probably about as crazy as I would get. If you're feeling really greedy, you can go Magical Footwear, Cosmic Insight. That's the best bargain for your money. The footwear is going to be worth about 375 gold. Cosmic Insight is going to be worth, I forgot the exact number, but somewhere near 400 gold. So those are all pretty solid. You could kind of go sort of the old school, something like Zombie Ward and Genius Hunter if you want to do that. It'd give you more sweeping, more vision control, and if you intend on getting multiple item actives, so if you're going to get something like Redemption plus Locket, then that could be a good build. I think a lot of builds are going away from that though now. I think a lot of builds are getting either Athene's or Ardent Sensor or both very early on. And so Ingenious is not really going to do a lot for you, and they have nerfed Zombie Ward a lot. So I used to, at the beginning of Season 8, I used to advocate for Zombie plus Ingenious in some situations, but now it's harder to pull that off just because people are getting less item actives because the active items have been nerfed a little bit. Okay, so basically this is a doable build if you think you're going to get 2 item actives as your first item, then that could be something. But it will make you really squishy. As far as like item build order, I think Ionian Boots is probably the place to go. You can get mobility if you think you really need to rotate around the map a lot. Ionian does give you that extra CDR early, which is really important. It also gives you cooldown on your summoners, so you get more ignites, you get more flashes. So I think that's really handy. You know, if I would probably take Ignite like 99% of the time on Nami, but if you're against like super heavy assassins and you think they're going to dive you a lot, you could try to take Barrier like Soraka's doing. You know, if you find yourself against like a Draven Leona bot lane and you're afraid they're going to focus you out, then maybe you could get Barrier, but I think Ignite's still the default. And then the itemization just gets pretty flexible. I think Ardent Sensor is historically super good on Nami. They did just buff Athene's, so Athene's gives you more raw power and trading potential individually in lane, especially if you don't have an auto attack AD carry. So if you have something like someone who stacks really well with attack speed and on hit, so if you have something like a Jhin in your lane, maybe even a Misfortune who are just more like caster AD carries, you could think about not going Ardent and get Athene's. Or if you have you know, one of these alternative bot lane picks, if you have a Vladimir in your lane or a Mordekaiser or something like that, they're not going to benefit that much from Ardent. So you might consider rushing Redemption in that case, or you could get Athene's and then get a Redemption. Those two do have a lot of synergy because the extra 150 mana regen off of Redemption translates over into, I think, 30 extra AP on Athene's. So that's a really good value proposition. That's like an extra 600 gold worth of value if you go Athene's Redemption. So that's a pretty good build on if you have a non-traditional support in the bot lane. That's a decent option to go. You know, another option would be you can actually get a Zeke's on Nami just because she has so much disruption in her kit. If you don't go all plus healing and shielding, you can still be very useful versus someone like a, you know, like a Soraka or a Janna where you really don't want to get Zeke's. Also, her ultimate is on a lower cooldown than a lot of other supports, like 120 seconds, I think. It might be a little bit more than that, but it also slows people down and allows your team to catch up to them. Usually when you have Zeke's, you want like an engaged type of champion, or at least someone who can stick to people, and Nami is someone that can stick to people very well. So Zeke's is an okay option if they have a lot of AD assassins and you need some defense, right? So if they have a Nocturne who's becoming popular, if they have something like a Shaco, and you just need some extra defense, a little bit of extra armor, then Zeke's is probably your best way to go, especially since they removed Banner of Command, which wasn't amazing on Nami to begin with, but there just aren't a lot of armor options, is what I'm saying now. Like, you can get Knight's Vow if you want to, but it's only going to be half as effective on the passive. But, you know, maybe sometimes you might need that. But I think Zeke's is probably your best bet there, because it gives offense if you have a traditional AD carry. And Zeke's is good even with things like Jhin, who don't like attack speed a lot, just because you get the extra damage on hit. Did she crawl all the way up the stairs? Oh, that's her new thing, isn't it, Rory? Yeah. You gonna drive your thing, Rory?
I think she was coming to see you, but
oh,
she got distracted by the gate.
She's driving her toy. Alright, so yeah, it just kind of depends on what's going on. We'll see what's going on in your specific game, but if you're not sure what to go, if you have a traditional AD carry that gets attack speed, Ardent Sensor. If you don't, then you should consider Redemption or Athene's. And if you're still not sure, just get these 3 items. That's probably okay. You know, Ardent Sensor can be good even if your AD carry doesn't use auto attack speed, but like you still have something like a Master Yi or a Nocturne or some other auto attacker on your team. It can still be really good, and the stats by themselves are really awesome too. It's just going to make you very squishy. It has no defensive stats, whereas at least Athene's has some magic resist on it, and Redemption has some health on it. Okay, and you always max W, then E, then Q. Okay, let's go ahead and watch the game here. Good job, Rory. Now, remember last time, the major thing that I wanted to emphasize, and we'll see how it goes this game, is to be more aggressive early on. Oops, we're on red side. Let's fast forward through the preamble here. Now, in this matchup, Leona doesn't have Ignite, she has Exhaust, so she's not as deadly as she could be. But Callista can throw down some damage early on. She has quite a bit of surprising damage, especially off of just Blade of the Ruined King. But She has really short range. I think they nerfed her range to either 500 or 525. I don't remember. That was the nail in the coffin for her professionally. A range nerf is like the biggest nerf you can get her to carry, pretty much. Now, interesting to note also, you don't have a heal on your team. You have an exhaust on that Draven, so that's really dangerous if Kha'Zix comes down on you or if like Vhagar teleports behind you or something. So just be aware of that. So you guys have a lot of kill threat with exhaust and ignite, but just be careful. Okay, good. And try to, see if you can just, there you go, that's what I'm talking about. Good job. Yeah, I was gonna say, just see if you can sneak in a couple autos, because you have a heal and they don't. Just watch out for Leona's level 2. As soon as they kill these melee minions here, they're gonna hit level 2. So once this minion dies, they're level 2. There you go. So you gotta watch out for that. So it's always, as soon as all the melee creeps die on the second wave, then the team that does that first gets to level 2. So, in bot lane. So you gotta always watch out for that level 2 all-in. Or you can take advantage of the level 2 all-in. Alright, so... yeah. It's pretty good laning so far. Yeah, just let him push in at this point. Nocturne's topside also, so you really don't want to push up that much because you could get ganked and killed.
First.
Okay. You're doing alright on CS. As far as exigency goes, bot lane, like how much do you have to really pressure this? Oh, Rory, what's going on? She getting a little tired. I think that y'all probably scale better than Callista, but now you know Leona's like right there, yeah. I mean, anytime it looks like Leona's not in lane, she's probably just sitting in the bush. But yeah, I mean, I think this is probably about as good as you can get. Leona's just so scary. Like, you really kind of have to wait on a gank. Now, if Nocturne comes down here, you could ping him and say, hey, man, like, come down here and help us out. Or gank bot, free low, something like that. Leona's just one of those champions where she's really strong in a 2v2 if she's left alone. Whoa, and he's dead. Is he? No. Close. Just tell him to back. Ping him back. Alyssa can just flash and auto him, can't she? Yeah, he doesn't have heal. Goodness. If they notice that, it's gonna be real bad. You need to ping this guy back a lot. You gotta tell him to get out of here. This is really dumb. Okay, well, he did level up, so he got a little bit. You need to use a W on him, like, immediately. Don't worry about Wing them. Get him out of the red zone here. Just use, yeah, there you go. Just get him. They can still kill him in one combo, but at least it's not like flash auto. And you're not down a lot of CS. Did you take mana flow ban? What did you get here? Because, I mean, you are really low on mana. What's your mana regen at? Guess that's normal. It felt like you ran out of mana quite a bit. But you did have to heal Draven a lot. Let me speed this up a little bit here. So this just kind of yeah, I would probably just use the W to heal Draven. Yeah, I have it warded. Yeah, just ping him back. Just get the Draven up a little bit, 'cause I don't think y'all are all-inning them without Nocturne. The Leona's just too strong. If she had Ignite, she would have killed Draven, but she took Exhaust. Almost always a mistake. Not champion. You are getting some decent damage on her. I mean, maybe you can make a play on him a little bit. I do like it. You're being a lot more aggressive this game. No, she's gonna... Yeah, you can't go that far forward. So you can't ever go past their support to try to get to their 80 carry. Especially if it's a hard engaged support like Leona. You gotta respect her range. Like, their jungler's probably here. I need to be very careful. If the support's been chilling for a little while and they try to engage, there's high likelihood jungler... Like, I feel like their jungler has to be close. I mean, she could just randomly be going, like, really hard, but... I mean, maybe she's just randomly, like, being super aggressive, but it seems odd. Your Nocturne's on this top of the map, though, so if you guys get engaged on, it's gonna be real bad. Good bubble. Yeah, it's an okay... Nah, that's fine. Leave the lane, leave the lane. Well, okay, if Nocturne's coming down... Okay, yeah, just run, just run. Just don't let him get a kill. Okay, good. Good job. This guy just destroyed your lane, though. It's gonna freeze, like, right here. Yeah, and Kalissa's gonna get it all. So she just denied... That dude just denied your Draven, like... Probably 200 gold, because Draven's gonna have to stand back at the tower now. Now, fortunately, they're pushing it up, and they're not freezing you out, so they don't know wave management, but... That could have been real bad what that Nocturne just did. Alright, what are you getting? Is he just inting? Like, literally just running it down? Did he lag? What's the text? I mean, he just literally walked into them, right? Well, that's catastrophic. Huh. Well, hopefully he's not inting. That was really, really bad, though. Like, y'all just lost, like, almost 2 waves off of that. So yeah, now she's up like 20 CS. You want to look at items also. Like, you have the potential to kill them if you get a really good... Now, she's going to be in this bush, probably, Leona, so you need to be really careful. They have an edge, and if Leona gets an edge, it's a problem. Yeah, they're up levels now. Now, she hasn't completed her Blade the Ruined King yet. She probably could, if she backed, maybe. Jungler could be right there. They probably are. Kha'Zix is probably there. Alright, I guess we're just gonna cross our fingers and hope Kha'Zix in here. Bubble. Good bubble, good bubble. Okay. Alright. Maybe Kha'Zix was dead or something. I just didn't see it. Super dangerous. I think y'all need to back up. I mean, they just came from the dragon area, so that leads me to believe, like, I would naturally think, okay, they either just warded that or they were trying to start it. Because they saw Nocturne on the top side of the map. Here he is. Yeah, great bubble. Yeah, if they ever come out of the river like that, it's real suspicious. And if they're just running at you like that, I mean, it worked out, but that's one thing. I would be a lot more cautious about the jungler, and I would tell that to him. Like, it's working out right now because their jungler is just, like, always late, but like, they have such a strong 3v2 with Leona. What'd you even get? Did you get... Okay, so you get Ardent. Alright, that's good. Yeah, y'all need to back. What he's probably got like 1,000 gold at least. Yeah, he's got 1,300. You have 1,400. Yeah, it means you don't have a complete Ardent yet, but y'all need to back soon. Because she's bigger than you right now. Even though, like, y'all won and it feels like you're probably winning really hard, he hasn't spent that money, and she does. So I think that a recurve bow plus Cutlass is stronger than just a BF sword. Although Draven does get a lot of extra power. Yeah, just leave. Like, make sure that you're paying your gold and ping people back and just say, we need to buy. Like, you need to tell that to them. I'm not sure, I don't remember the elo that you said this was, but I mean, hell, even all the way up into plat, sometimes people overstay and, you know, aren't paying attention to stuff like that. Because it's easy to feel like, oh, we're really far ahead because we won these fights, but you're not as far ahead as you could be if you don't actually spend the gold. It doesn't matter if you have 8,000 gold in the bank. It doesn't give you anything if you don't, you know, translate that gold into items. So unless you're just constantly, you know, getting, like, lots of advantages really quickly in a row and you just can't back, like, it's just the Fiesta and you get, like, 3 towers in a row and, you know, you need to take a breath and go back and buy, which is what you did, which is good, but you need to tell him to do that too. Okay, so I'm just saying, buy sooner, communicate more with pings.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
Be more cautious of jungler. Y'all didn't have vision, and like Leona's just so scary. Like some of these things, especially that one where they were, like I said, coming out of the river here. Like you see both of them walking out of this river. It's an infernal dragon. They've got a Kha'Zix on their team who can do that pretty quickly early on. Like, I think it's pretty reasonable to at least be like cautious of the possibility that they could have been trying to do dragon right there, and instead they decided to peel off and go kill you off first. Especially because you have no vision there. So it all worked out very well. I mean, y'all got some kills out of that. And you know, your individual play has been great. You know, you're being a lot more aggressive. I think that's awesome. What'd you get? Ardent Sensor, yeah. Draven's doing pretty well. You also have Nocturne, who's doing very well. Both of those guys benefit from Ardent, so I think that's pretty good. I would just push up middle and go get Rift right now. You have Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath can help you secure objectives. Just tell your team, like, this is the danger zone right here, I think, is once those first towers go down, this is where games can quickly devolve into fiestas if you're not shot calling. So everyone's just going to walk around and try to kill somebody rather than get objectives. everyone's missing on the map right now, so they could literally be sending all 5. You know 2 are down here, right? You know Lee and Kazik, because they walked over wards, are down here. Yeah, you need to get out of here. And they have really strong engage with Leona, so Lee to an extent. Okay, heal. Good. Now, one thing I will say in these fights, if possible, I know they're really busy, but do your best to heal an ally first, and then bounce it that way, because the heal is more efficient than the damage. Most of the time. And that's a small thing, but, you know. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. I know sometimes it's easy to forget. Oh, there's a tower there. I do that too sometimes. But, oh, dragon. Got 30 seconds. Yeah, I would just, yeah, y'all don't really have any wave control. This is why wave control is so important. Like, you need to push waves before you try to make plays in lanes, because if you don't have waves pushed up, then you don't get anything off of victories, right? Like, you just get kills, which is nice, but you want to make sure that you get the towers. Now, don't die here, because Dragon's almost up. I would just tell your team to back in Dragon. You have mid, top, and bottom are all pushing in. It's a free drag. If they want to come contest you, you get a lot of free stuff. This is getting pretty clowny. Let's get towers. Trade it. These guys are... Vagar's probably going to get one here. At least one. Yeah, this is getting real bad real quick. So, like, y'all are getting kills, but you're also stalling. Like, the game is getting stalled out. There's just more stuff that can go wrong. Like, the later the game gets, the enemy team starts catching up because of ambient gold. Just the fact that, like, early items are more powerful than later items. Like, your first, like, couple of items are more powerful just because your baseline power level is lower earlier in the game. So what I mean by that is if you get an item that just gives you a flat 100 AD or something, early game when you only have 100 AD and you get an additional 100, that's a lot. That's twice the amount. But, like, as your 6th item, if you were to get something that's 100 AD and you already have 400, that's only a 25% increase in your total AD. You see what I'm saying? So that's why, if you're ahead, you don't want the game to stall. You want to close as fast as you possibly can, because once they catch up in items, you know, once they get... If you're ahead, like, 2 items to their 1 item, you have a way bigger advantage most of the time than if you have 5 items and they have 4 items, you know? Just percentage-wise, you're at a bigger advantage. So that's why the later the game goes, the easier it is for them to come back. Now, I'm not saying they're going to come back in this. You guys are still really far ahead. But this is why you have to try to stop the TS. So you need to shot call and take. Just tell them, back up, go get this dragon. You guys did end up getting the dragon. But if a couple of things just went differently, you know, if they killed those 3 people under tower, then they go and get that Infernal Dragon, and they hold their tier 2, you know, they could very well come back in there. Okay, so you're getting Zeke's next. I'm okay with that. Yeah, Kha'Zix can be frustrating. He did lose his invisibility, and he's only 2 and 9. But I think that's fine. You know, your other option here would probably be, like, Redemption, but y'all are so far ahead. I kind of like the Zeke's. Just give Draven a lot of extra damage. Or Nocturne. Now, this is another point to be careful of here is, like, once you get all the tier 2s, they're all going to be forced together. Yeah, I wouldn't use the ult there. Like, don't use your ult to try to engage from long range unless they don't see you, like you're getting them, unless they're distracted. Because they can easily dodge it, it's so slow. Like full AP. No, he's not, he just does a ton of damage. Oh, no, this is 4v4 still, because Nocturne's just randomly, like, doing whatever he's doing. There's not even any camps on the top side of the map. I guess he's doing Scuttle. This is just so scary, because I lose so many games like this.
Red team double kill.
Well, this Kha'Zix is a clown, so I guess that's good. That's fine. Yeah, but you gotta try to get this under control a little bit. Just, I mean, I know it's insane. Like, there's like virtually no way you can lose, but I have lost games like this. I swear I have. Like, it's possible. Like, you just need to end. Like, even just aside from just normal, like, circumstances, like, just what if Nocturne, like, what if Nocturne is in a thunderstorm or something and his power goes out, right? What if he's duoed with Morgana and they're in the same dorm and, like, the IT department decides to do some kind of work on their internet all of a sudden? It disconnects them. I mean, any number of things. What if, like, you know, in a key team fight, one of these guys, like, their kid comes up and pulls their Ethernet plug out of the wall or something, you know, on accident. Like, there's just so many random things in life that can happen. Or, like, what if, you know, this Nocturne keeps diving like this, dies a couple of times, and then just says, hey, idiots, why don't you, like, do anything? I'm over here, like, I've got 3 of them on me. And that happens twice, and then, you know, someone on your team says, no, you're dumb, and then someone else is like, no, you're both idiots, and then somebody goes AFK, you know? I'm sure everyone's had that happen. So it could be just, like, weird real-life things could happen that could disconnect people or give you a disadvantage, someone can start lagging. You could have just attitude problems start coming into play. Or just standard, like I said, they could just get a lot of gold eventually and come back. Now, it's not super likely, but every minute that this goes on, something like that is more likely, you know? The game's not 100% until you see the end screen. So, obviously, I know you're trying your best to close this out, and you're not trolling around trying to 1v3 and things like that. I'm just saying, you gotta try to get your team to, like, close the game out. The big problem also is people, it's just like, it's fun when you're really far ahead and you can one-shot people, right? You want to go up and try to 1v3, and I get that, you know, I don't always want to be the fun police, but, you know, if you're trying to climb, that's something you need to do. There's not a, I mean, the reason I'm talking about this is, I mean, that game is basically a stomp from start to finish, you know, like, there's not a ton as far as, like, mechanically that you could do other than, improve on, other than the tidal wave. You know, don't use the tidal wave. Let me just write this down real quick. I'll go ahead and write that down. So, you want to save that tidal wave. It's such a long, like, range ability. Like, you want to throw it in when people are already really busy fighting, or when there's other CC that you're chaining it together with. Because if people see that coming, they're just going to sidestep it a lot of the time. So, I didn't see you do that a lot, but there were a couple of times where I was like, well, I don't know if you really want a tidal wave there. Or if you hit your bubble, then tidal wave, because your wave's going to get there about the time that your bubble like wears off, and there's a much smaller window for them to dodge it. So either hit the bubble first and then tidal wave, or not. Nami's not a great engage champion. She's a great like disengage champion, or I guess like follow-up engage. So if someone else engages and hits the CC, then you can hit your bubble, then you can hit your tidal wave. So she's a really good follow-up, but like the bubble, you know, if you just throw it randomly at people, a lot of times it's fairly easy to dodge. So is the R. So they need to be distracted. Either they're trying to hit a CS and they bubble them, or they're trying to focus on fighting the Yasuo or whatever, and they're not watching you, and then you can bubble them or hit them with the tidal wave. But just like throwing the wave at them is something that's not that crazy. To try to bubble the ally first, or try to W the ally first, and then have it bounce the enemy. I know it's not always possible, but like the heal is more valuable than the damage because of the way that resistances stack. So getting, you know, a heal, damage, heal is going to be more valuable than damage, heal, damage. A lot of times. Not always, but in team fights, you ideally want to heal your ally with the big number first and then have the bounces when you get that reduced amount on the damage. Okay, as far as mechanics, I think that was it. There are a couple of fights where, yeah, you could have maybe bubbled faster, sequenced your spells a little better, but by and large, I thought this was great. I mean, I think the big picture stuff was way better, this. I think you made a lot of improvement from the last time we did this video. Getting aggressive early, you know, trying to throw in that trading, getting in those auto attacks whenever you can, really asserting your will on the lane, and that's great, especially against the Leona. Like, it's hard to do that, to time that without getting caught, and you didn't get caught very often by the Leona E, which is great. So very well done in the laning phase. I thought you executed that, you know, really well, considering that's a pretty tough lane, right? Now, okay, so the other stuff, the other bigger things, I think, is buy sooner. I know you got roped into staying because Draven wanted to stay, but this is going to be the biggest thing here. Oh, what do you got there, Ronnie? She got a little bottle? I'm about to start the stream here in just a second. So try to communicate more. So tell the Draven, like, hey, man, let's buy. And just ping your gold a couple of times. And then maybe he'll say, oh, I have a lot of gold too, and he'll go buy it. So maybe not. I mean, maybe he'll say, whatever, dude, I'm doing my thing, you know, and that's fine. But at least tell him. And if they tell you to shut up or whatever, then you can shut up, right? Then you can chill out a little bit. But I think just people just forget that they have that much gold, or they forget, oh, we could just go get dragon, or oh, we can get this tower. So, you know, a lot of people know the right call when they hear it, they just won't think of it on their own. This is something that, you know, that I always say in the channel, but it's true. So ping that more. Ping your gold, ping the enemy items, say, hey, I don't think we should fight, and just ping their 2 items, and ping your BF sword, say, you know, do you have Bloodthirster? Let's buy it, then we can fight. You know, that type of thing. So just ping the items, let them know, like, hey, we need to have gold, or hey, they're up items on us, we probably shouldn't fight right now, or like, hey, dragon's going to be up in 30 seconds, for example. Just ping it, you know, 30 seconds before dragon comes up, and just say, hey, let's go get this, let's position for this. Or just say something like, hey, let's get this tier 2, and then let's go get the dragon. Just tell them beforehand what you want to do, just short-term goals. So I think that that is a really big thing that will help you improve tremendously. And I know it sucks, like you shouldn't have to tell people that. You shouldn't have to tell people, don't fight, they have better items, or you should buy, you have 2,000 gold, or hey, there's a dragon, we should probably get it, it's the second Infernal. But you have to do it. Like, you just have to. Especially, I think this was a silver game, I'm not entirely sure. But like, even in Platinum, even probably honestly in like Low Diamond, you got to tell people those things, because they just aren't going to think of them on their own. Like, they'll recognize it's a good idea, but they just won't think of it. The other final thing that I'll mention here, other than just communication, I have entire videos on communication too. Watch my Better Macro video if you haven't watched that yet. It'll tell you a little bit about it. So be more cautious of the enemy jungler. You didn't have to You didn't have to pay for it this time, right? Like when I was, especially when they came out of the river like that. There, I mean, in my mind, there's probably like an 80% chance that Kha'Zix is around that area. Now he wasn't. They were just randomly both walking up there to ward Dragon instead of pushing the lane first. But it's super scary when you see like the jungler or when you see the support and the AD carry come walking out of river where you don't have any vision. Your jungler's on the top side of the map and it's an Infernal Dragon. Like, highly probable that they were either attempting to go do it or they're doing something sneaky, right? That they're trying to shut out vision. They're trying to put pink wards in places so the jungler can arrive. So just be really scared of that. And just in general, you know, if you're pushed into Leona, you need to be scared because if the jungler wraps around, especially if you're squishy little Nami and Draven with no escapes, you just have a huge bullseye on you. So if your jungler's not on the bot side of the map and you're pushed past halfway on the lane, you need to be a little more scared. It worked out. You know, every time you guys did that, Kha'Zix was always late. He didn't make you pay. Right, Rory? But you need to be scared, especially if there's a key dragon up, like Infernal, or if Scuttle's up, or if they've already shown an interest in camping bottom. You need to be really aware of that. So, you know, like I said, it was fine. What you did worked out. It was very risky, but you got a big reward. You snowballed bot lane really hard. But in other games, it will not work out so well. So just be very, very careful. And I'm guilty of that too. That's probably one of my biggest mistakes is I'll get caught up and I'll be like, okay, we have a huge advantage in lane. We can push our advantage, you know, and try to snowball the game. And then the jungler comes down and ganks and wrecks us and totally turns it around. So it's very, very common. Especially when you're playing a lane-dominant champion like Nami or Zyra or whatever. You want to assert your will. You want to be powerful in the lane. But then the jungler will come down and shut that down sometimes. So you just got to be careful with that. But anyways, that's going to be it. So thank you very much. Once again, Sammy, I really appreciate it. Anyone else out there interested in a coaching session, just email me at thestrategyprofessor@gmail.com. We can set that up. If you enjoy this video, be sure to check out the rest of the content on the channel. We have lots of other coaching sessions. We have guides, tier lists. I stream every night on YouTube starting 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come check it out. We have a wonderful community. I try to be really interactive with the chat. Lots of friendly faces in there every night. Lots of regulars. It's a great time. It's a lot different than other like Twitch chats and things. It's really friendly and welcoming. We'll go out of our way to try to make it that way. And yeah, if you want, you know, more information, if you really enjoy the channel, you want to share it with others, or you want other people to be able to find the channel, don't forget to subscribe, like. You'll know when all the new content comes out. It'll help other people find it. So thank you very much. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.